My name is Suzi Grishpul. I'm the product manager for Action Builder, and Action Network, our parent organization, if you don't already know, is a nonprofit organization that builds tools for hundreds of organizations to build progressive power. Action Builder is a tool that helps organizers track and grow your efforts effectively. And Action Builder is built using our cooperative development model that we use for both tools, with our development partners, the AFL-CIO and People's Action. Some of you are in the webinar today, so shout out to all of you. If you want to drop a little emoji response and out yourselves for others, feel free to do that. And what that means, the cooperative development model is a way that we work in community with other progressive organizations to make sure that the tools we're building are rooted in organizers' needs and experiences, and that we're building the best tools that we can for all of you. So thank you for being here and for doing what you do. First, I'm just going to give a little overview of what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to be starting by talking about why events are so important to organizing and why we decided to build this as a feature as opposed to managing events in other ways. Then I'll go over a few highlights of the feature, a few particular things about it that we're particularly proud of. Then I will do an actual walkthrough, so you'll get to see the feature. We released it a little over a week ago now, so if you haven't had a chance to play around with it yet, you can see what it looks like and how it works. Then we're going to hear from some testimonials from some of our PDC partners to just share a little bit about how they're planning on using the feature and what they're excited about in it. Then I will share a little bit about what's to come. This is our first release of this feature, and we have big plans for the future of it as we go. So I'll tell you a little bit about what isn't available yet, but is in our roadmap for the future of events. And then I will share how you can get started on using the feature and what kind of support we offer to help you get familiar with it. And then we'll have some time at the end for Q&A if you have any questions you want to ask me about the feature. All right, so just to start, why events? I'm probably preaching to the choir on this one, but in case you're not already doing events in your work, as we all know, organizing is all about building relationships, and events help strengthen your members' connections to both your organization as a whole, as well as building those relationships with each other. So you can use events to keep people informed about your work and also engaged with your work, because we all know there's more work to be done than just our staff can do themselves. Events also let you meet people where they're at by either hosting virtual events or in-person events. And you can also help meet people where they're at by collecting important information about their needs to better enable them to participate in your events, and also what they can contribute to making your events a success. All right, so some of the highlights of the events feature that we're particularly excited about. One of the main things is that you can centralize all of your event information in one place so that everyone who's involved in your turnout efforts can find that information and easily share it, the location of the event, time, any other details they need to know about the event, the Zoom link, all that kind of stuff. Very easy to find. Another thing that's a key part of how we built the events feature is that it is tightly integrated with the tasks feature if you use that in your organization. And that just helps you streamline the process of doing your turnout efforts, tracking your confirmation to make sure that people are going to show up, and then also tracking people's actual attendance at your events. You can also track key information related to attendance. Like I said in the previous slide, making sure that you have the information readily available about what people need, for example, like accessibility needs that folks have, or translation needs, or things like what people are going to bring to your event. Like if you're having a potluck, you want to know what people want to bring to the potluck, or if someone's bringing supplies to a strike line, things like that. And of course, the event information that you're collecting is all now going to be visible on an individual entity's profile, as well as you'll be able to use the wall chart to pull lists based on RSVP status or attendance status for past events. So real quick before we dive into the demo, I'm curious to hear from folks. What do you currently use to manage your turnout efforts and track participation at your events? Spreadsheets, under union involvement fields. Yep, that makes sense. Spreadsheets. My heart is with you all. Spreadsheets, organizer's best and best friend and worst enemy. Google Sheets, yep. And that's a good point, Peter. One of the reasons we created the events feature as its own thing was because we were seeing a lot of people using info fields to track events with members. So info fields for RSVP and attended. Yep. 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 Cool. Well, really excited to give you all a better option than those. All right, cool. So now I'm going to do a little walkthrough. Enough tell. Let's get to some show, shall we? All right, let me just really quickly switch my screen here. All right, cool. I'm not going to do a super deep dive into this feature. I'll share a little bit more later about our upcoming trainings on the events feature and all the other parts of Action Builder that you are welcome to sign up for if you want to get more granular and do some more like hands-on training. But I obviously wanted to share what it looks like and oh, I'm in full screen share. Thanks, Kim. Yeah, you don't need to see that. Let me just show you the one window. How about that? Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate the honesty. Okay, great. Let's focus. Let's focus on the task at hand. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to show you a little bit about what events looks like. Cool. So the first thing to note when you're going to start playing with events is that it is not on by default. So you will need to go into each campaign that you want to enable events for, and you will go down to the Customize tab, and on the General sub-tab, you will click on Enable Events, and that will toggle events on for you. And then there's a second field here that I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, where you'll set the default event task type, because like I mentioned, events will automatically create tasks for your workflow. So you need to set a default for those. So you go ahead and do that, save changes, and ta-da, a new tab appears like magic in your campaign. So once you click on this tab, obviously you won't have any events here, but I've set up some for example, you'll see a list of your upcoming events. The default is set to the next 3 months, but you can change this date range to however many you want to see. It'll just show upcoming, but you can also go and look at previous events, things like that. So when you create your events, you'll give it a name, a time, a place. You can also say if you want it to be a virtual event, in which case you will give the location of the virtual link or however people are going to connect virtually, or the physical address if it's an in-person event. And then you can add a description to give all your organizers more context that they might need to share with event participants. One of the super cool things about how we built events is that you can do one-off events, or you can also stamp out recurring events pretty easily. So as you can see here, I created a membership meeting that happens on the 3rd Friday of every month. So if you have a recurring meeting like that, or you're planning like a strike line, for example, where you're going to have multiple shifts throughout the day, we made it really easy to create multiple events all at once. So save you some time. So once you've got your event, obviously the next step is to start inviting people to come to it. So as you see over here, we have all these tasks that are tied to this event. And we'll start with turning some folks out. So once you click that turnout link, if you're using the tasks feature, this will look familiar to you. It'll bring you over to a task that has been created for turnout for this event. So like any other task, you will create your universe. For simplicity's sake, I'm just going to invite all 300 people that are in this campaign. And that event now shows up here as the to-do. If you have other pieces of information you want to collect, like you would on any other task, you can add those to this task as well, but it's not required. So once you've added your universe and you created your turfs, I'm going to go ahead and assign this to myself. Then you can have your fellow organizers and activists come in once they've been assigned to a turf. As usual, they would go in and start reaching out to folks. So as I mentioned, when you set the default task type, you can decide if it's a canvassing task or a standard task, which doesn't have any kind of canvassing features to it. So then your organizers would go through and go down this list and start turning people out to your event. So just to show you what this looks like on a phone, as with everything else in Action Builder, we've made it very mobile friendly. So they will have the event information right here, and their RSVP status is just either a one button click, or you can choose from the drop down whether someone is RSVPing for your event, give you a maybe that you can follow up with later in a confirmation step, or if they decline and say they can't make it to the event, you can note that as well. So like I said, you've got all your info here. And one of the nice things that we've added too is this copy event information link, which I will drop in the chat. That looks like. So let's say you invite someone and they're like, oh, that's great. Can you text me the information or email it? It's really easy to just grab that text and send it over to them so they have that. And another nice thing that we've added is we also show, I believe, up to a month out of upcoming events at the bottom too. So let's say someone can't come to this, but they're still really excited to be involved with your organization. You can invite them to another event and collect their RSVP status on that one as well. So making sure you have a lot of different ways to keep them engaged with your work. And then you go down the line, you invite the next person. This person's a maybe, this person's a maybe. And let's throw a few declines in there just for fun. So you're doing your turnout efforts. You've got folks inviting people to your event. So now when you go back to the event, you will see this RSVP box in the top corner here. And this gives you kind of a snapshot of your RSVP statuses thus far. So we've got a couple RSVPs, a couple tentatives. Currently, if someone declines, they will be removed from the event. That's something we're thinking about for the future, is being able to track declines, because that's obviously important to know in its own way. But for now, we're just keeping track of people who have said yes or maybe at the RSVP step. So one of the things that we've built into events is confirmation tracking as well, because the initial invitation is obviously important, but sometimes you need to follow up once, or if you're very diligent, twice, to make sure they're actually going to be there for this important event. So when you create the event, you can set these to be scheduled tasks, so they won't be created until the date that you specify. The default for confirmations is 5 days before the event, and if you want to use the double confirm, it'll be 2 days out. And then once you create those, I'll just create this now. Once you create those confirmation tasks, the universe will already be predefined based on who RSVP'd in the turnout step. So each step builds on the previous one. And it'll also cut turf as well, which of course, if you don't like the way that it cuts the turf, you can delete them and do it a different way, but it's all based on the turf that you had in the previous step. So then you're doing your confirmations, and let's just edit this event to be today. Now the day of the event has come. You want to track who actually showed up. You can also do this after the event has passed, if you're doing a sign-up sheet on paper or using another tool or something like that. Same thing, it's created this universe based off the previous step and already cut my turfs. So I'm ready to go. I'm at my event, I'm checking people in. I've got my list here. And then you can go through and mark who actually attended, who no-showed, and keep track of everyone that way. Obviously, sometimes new people just show up to an event, so it's really easy to create a new person from the task itself. Or you can always go into, if someone's already in your campaign, you can always go into their individual profile, down to their events tab, and add an RSVP saying that they did actually show up for this event. And then this will show a list of all the events that that individual person came to. In addition to showing event information on someone's individual profile, we've also added event fields to the wall chart. So you can pull a list of either particular events that you want to see, who was invited to those and who showed up, or you can search for all of your events at one time just by those RSVP statuses. So if you just want to pull a list of everyone who came to any event, you can do that way. If you want to pull a list of no-shows, all of that good stuff. You can also export event data. So you can export based on, again, those same like RSVP statuses. Um, or if you want just a list of the events themselves and the event descriptions and all of that kind of thing, you can export the events data itself as well. And one last important thing that I want to share about events, as I mentioned earlier, we have now added a new info field type for events. Like I was saying, sometimes you're not just inviting people to the event, but you have extra information you need to collect from them. So if you go into your info tab, um, I've set up some fields here, but obviously, if you're an admin, you can set that up in the admin settings. If you're not, ask your admin to set some fields up for you. So I'm going to go ahead and turn all of these on, just as an example. So you'll go ahead and turn these fields on, and now these fields will be available for any event that you create in your campaign. So let's go ahead and create a new event. And this is happening tomorrow, so I don't have the ability to turn on confirmation tasks. So let's say I'm inviting people to this event. Cool. So now that those info fields are turned on, when I go to do my turnout, it'll look the same at first. You'll see the event information, the RSVP button, and then once you update this with an RSVP status, then those info fields will show up here. So the idea is that first you ask someone if they can come, get their answer on that, and then ask them any additional information that you might have. So let's say someone has accessibility needs, you need to make sure that there's wheelchair access and space. You want to know, what your needs are around that. Let's say you're doing an event where you're providing meals for people and you want to ask them what dish they'd like, pick their food selection. Or if someone has assistance needs, like for example, they need childcare, you can select these here. And event info fields work just like any other info field for entities or for connections, where all the field types are available. So the other ones that I just showed were just standard fields where you just have a checklist of options. Whereas this one is a note field where you have your checklist of options, but then you can also add additional notes. So if you had like translation needs, for example, you could specify what languages they might need translation into, or any other relevant information about that. So that's a big part of this feature, like I said, is being able to click that information. And then again, when you're looking at the wall chart and you're searching by events, you can now search on those responses as well. So let's say I want to pull a list of, everyone who had translation needs, so I can follow up with them, or just kind of get a head count of the different fields that we have here. You can now easily do that from the wall chart. So that's a little bit about events. And let me go back to my presentation. All right. Sweet. So next we're going to hear some testimonials from some of our PDC members. Up first, we're going to have Jenny Perkle from Maine People's Alliance share a little bit about what this feature is going to change in your organizing work and what you're excited about. So Seth, if we could bring Jenny up as a host.
Yep, one sec.
No worries.
You a co-host. Oh, I think I made you the host, so I can't.
Oh, okay. I
Sorry.
think I found it. No worries. Sam's always moving things around. All right. Hi, Jenny. Be having some Zoom struggles. Let's see. Jenny, you there? Oh, shoot. Okay. Let's see. It looks like you're unmuted for me.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. There we
Hello.
go. Sorry about that.
It's all good. Technology's the worst.
I have a brand new computer as of today, so
Congratulations.
it wasn't set up to allow my mic and camera to work yet. Okay, do you want me just to share? Oh, sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, if you want to introduce yourself, tell folks who you are and what organization you're with, and yeah,
All
what you're
right.
excited about with events.
Yeah, sorry everyone. My name is Jenny Perkle. Use she, her pronouns. I am with Maine People's Alliance. I've been with Maine People's Alliance up here in Maine since 2009. I started as an organizer, and then I was a campaign manager, and then I was the organizing director for the state. And now I do special projects. And my special project, one of my big special projects for the past year, has been getting us onto a new database, which was Action Builder and Action Network. So it's been a lot of fun learning how to use these tools in the past year. Before that, we were on Civi, which was great, but very old and clunky and not very user-friendly. And so one of the things I've been really excited about with Action Builder is how user-friendly it is for my organizers to be able to put into their data. And we are all very excited for events to go live. My organizers have been asking for it for like the last 6 months since we've been fully onboarded onto Action Builder. And I think I can share last weekend, we had a big membership meeting. We had over 100 people come and attend. And we definitely wanted to be able to keep track of who those folks were who came to this annual meeting, so that we can create treatments for them moving forward into 2025. So organizers know like who to reach out to, and we can think about like asks that we want to make of this particular group. And so we can keep track of like this group who got trained on the certain things that we knew we did in December. And so it was really fun for me this past weekend to be able to play around with the events feature. And they are all confirmed and as having attended right now in our Action Builder. So it's really great that I can, when organizers are like, oh, who actually showed up, I can just pull that list out of Action Builder, send it out to them. And it was actually really easy for me too, because then we sent out an evaluation email afterwards just to the people who attended. So we used Action Network as the front facing. And so I'm really excited for that to one day sync. But for now, I was able to pull the list out of Action Builder and then upload it so that I could send an email just to the people who attended and not just everyone who registered. So those are a couple of things that I'm really excited about. I know my team is really excited to be able to track who comes to our monthly meetings, who comes to our big annual meetings, all that sort of stuff.
Awesome. So exciting that you got to use it the first weekend it was around. The timing really worked out. So
Yeah.
cool. Thanks so much, Jenny. And thanks for all your help testing it. Jenny was one of our user testers earlier this year, and that was super helpful. So Um, awesome. Thanks, Jenny. All right. Up next, we've got, uh, let's see, multitasking. Up next, we've got Maddie Love, who's coming to us from Minnesota Nurses Association. Let's see how well I can multitask, talking and bringing someone up to the stage. Hi, Maddie.
Hello, did I do it right?
You did it.
Amazing. Hi all. My name is Maddie Love. I am the Director of Data and Technology at the Minnesota Nurses Association. We're a labor union representing over 22,000 nurses and healthcare professionals across Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, and North Dakota. We are thrilled about the launch of the events feature and Action Builder. We primarily have been using Action Builder for our external organizing, so new unions that we're organizing, but are transitioning to using it for our internal organizing as well. And next year, we have our 2025 coordinated bargaining campaign, which typically results in some of the largest nurses strikes in US history, which is fun and exciting. And it is also a ton of logistics. And last year, we were taking attendance of who showed up to strike lines on paper and in random tags on Action Builder. And so it was not super consistent or easy for us to use later. So we're really excited for our organizers and staff to have like a very clear process of how they're supposed to do it so we can actually make sure that data is captured, because we know that it's a really great indicator of like our member engagement. And we really want to be able to, as we're making decisions throughout our campaign, factor that in. Is our members are engaged? Are they still showing up? What sort of things can we still push for? So very excited to start using events soon.
That's really exciting. Can't wait. When does that effort start?
Our contracts open on March 15th, and
Nice.
they expire June 30th. So that's when we'd be looking to probably authorize a strike over the summer.
Exciting. Well, I'm really excited for you all to try out the events feature and let us know how it goes.
Yeah,
Thanks, Maddie. All right. Cool. So yeah, now you've heard a little bit from some actual users who've Maddie also got a chance to sneak preview the feature doing some testing that we did earlier this year. So now you get to hear about it from some folks who have actually played with the feature about how they're going to use it. Right. Cool. So, another question for you all in the chat. I'm curious now that you've seen the feature, heard about how some other folks are going to use it. What are some events that you're excited to try out Action Builder events for? Nice. Committee meetings, social events for sure, monthly trainings. External organizing. Awesome. Good stuff. Cool. Thanks, y'all.
There's a question, can you set a recurring event?
Yes. You can create multiple events at once, like I talked about in the demo, but they're not tied to each other. If you're used to using Google Calendar, where you can like update one event and it'll update in other places, when you create multiple events, they all get created as their own event. So that's something to keep in mind, but you can create recurring events in that way. So, cool. I am going to come back to questions during the Q&A at the end. That's cool with folks. But I do see your messages and I will answer them. Awesome. Well, I wanted to speak a little bit to some of the future functionality that we will be releasing on the events feature in 2025 and beyond. So like I mentioned at the beginning, this is just the start of this feature. We still have a lot of other exciting things that we want to add to it. So this is just a few of those things. First off, bulk uploads. So as of right now, you can export event data from Action Builder, but you cannot yet upload data into Action Builder about events. So that's going to be information about the events themselves, the event descriptions, locations, all of that, as well as RSVP and attendance statuses and info fields on events and things like that. So that is forthcoming, but not yet available. Another thing that's going to be a big priority for us in the next round on the events feature is making sure that the sync that we currently have with Action Network also works with events data. So that's obviously going to be huge because then, like Jenny was speaking to earlier, you'll be able to have public-facing sign-up pages on Action Network and sync those RSVPs over to Action Builder so you can do that follow-up and tracking on who actually showed up to your events. And since the sync is two ways, obviously there's information about event attendance that you'll want to sync back over to Action Network to do your communication with folks as well. So that's going to be a big one. And then the last integration piece that we'll be working on in the future, event data is not currently accessible or submittable via the API, but we'll be building that as well. So all the things that flow in and out of the events feature from other places are coming. All right. So if you're excited about using the events feature and you are ready to dive in, there's a few ways you can get some support on that as you're poking around in it. First, you can sign up for our training. So we have trainings every Thursday on a variety of different Action Builder topics, ranging from just baseline overview of Action Builder all the way through our data integrations and kind of more like advanced topics like that. So here's the information to join one of our trainings. That link will take you to our general training calendar. And then the 102, which is every second Thursday of the month, is going to be specifically about events and the tasks feature as well. The second way you can learn more and get some support around using this feature is checking out our awesome documentation written by none other than our buddy Seth, who is also helping me out on this call. Thank you so much, Seth, for all your work on this. So there's a few links in there, and we'll send out these links as well as in a follow-up to this webinar when we send out the recording. But there's some links there for your activist and organizer users, how they can use the events feature, and then also for admins and leads, a little bit more detail on setting up your event info fields and things like that. And we have a great article in there that gives some examples of info fields ideas that you might want to use for different types of events. So one of the questions we got a lot in the when we were doing some testing on this feature was, when would you use an info field for the event versus on the entity themselves? And that article kind of goes into a little bit more detail about that. Oh, thanks. And Seth also just dropped a link in directly to the 102, which I believe the next one is in January. Yes, cool. So new year, new feature. Check it out. And the last way you can get more involved in using the events feature is you can reach out to our partnerships team and get more folks on your team using Action Builder. So if you want to add more users to your Action Builder account, there's a link with more information about our partnership packages. And you can also reach out to Natalia on our partnerships team with code AB events. So she knows that you came from this webinar. Yeah, to talk about expanding your usage of the tool. All right. So we have some time now, about 5-10 minutes or so, to do some Q&A. So I saw that there were some questions that came in through the chat. And start there. Let's see. All right, question from Peter. Hi, Peter. I think you showed it to us, but the event responses, RSVP, etc., and the logging of who showed are available outside the task feature and the event info fields. We don't use tasks much, but are over the moon excited for events. And specifically, are these available through log conversation? Oh, that is a fantastic question. Yes, so let me go back to my screen share real quick. So yes, you can definitely use all those statuses outside of tasks. You would just go to someone's profile, you go to the events tab, and then you could RSVP them directly on their profile right here. So let's say we want to RSVP this person to these upcoming events. If you want to add info to those RSVPs, you can do that from here as well. I forgot to mention that. So you have all those things available, and then they'll all show up on their profile, and then obviously they'll be findable through the wall chart. And then when you go to the event, they will count towards these totals as well. That's a great question. And I think that was a two-part question. So let me make sure I got the other part of it. Log conversation. It is events RSVPs are not yet available through log conversation. Let's see, conversation logging. Yeah, it's just core information, info fields, and then connections if you have those turned on as well. So we'll be integrating events. Oh, I was wrong. I learned something new just now. They are down here. They're just farther down in the list below all the entity fields. Amazing. Okay, I stand corrected. So you can add it to log conversation. What a delightful surprise. So now you can add event attendance. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is an info field that someone had set up called events. Oh, that's very confusing. Okay, I go back on what I said. I'm so sorry. It's not yet available, but it is on our roadmap to add this to conversation logging. So keep an eye out for it. To log conversation as well as bulk edit, because there's definitely some cases where you want to just kind of go down your list and like check people off in mass, either for checking them in at an event or doing, a bulk edit to like invite people. So that is all coming as well. Great question. Thanks, Peter. And sorry for the confusion about the info fields. All right. Next question's from Caitlin. Can this feature differentiate between someone who hasn't responded to an existing invitation, say they didn't answer the phone, so we left a text or a voicemail, versus someone who hasn't been contacted yet? Fantastic question. Yes. So if you set up your event task type to be any of our canvassing task types, so either visiting people in person, let's do a phone bank, I'm going to be calling people, and let's call it that. So for a phone bank task, it's only going to add people to the universe that have a valid phone number. So once I create that, and I'm going through and doing my turnout efforts. So with any of those three Canvas task types, you will have this Canvas status that's attached to the effort. So yeah, so if you didn't get a response, obviously you wouldn't fill this out, and then you would say like attempted, or if it was a bad phone number or things like that. So yeah, great question. Next question comes from Bailey. Are you able to create event tasks outside of the default RSVP follow-up tasks that are automatically created? Let me process that question. Oh, creating additional tasks. So as of right now, we just have these four task options. So initial turnout, confirmation, double confirm, and then attendance. But I would love to hear more about a use case for creating other event tasks outside of this flow. So I'm going to put my email in the chat, and I would love it if you want to reach out and talk more about what you want to do with that. Thanks for that question. Host would be helpful. Oh, sorry, that was a question from Kim, sent just to us. Host is a task type. Cool. Yeah, Kim, if you wouldn't mind emailing me with more information about that, I would love to find a time to talk to you about what that would look like. For follow-up. Cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Or maybe that would, yeah, be a future task or something. So yeah, let's talk. Awesome. Any other questions? Yes, we will send out this Zoom recording to everyone who RSVP'd. So you all get it, as well as folks who weren't able to join today. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to email our support. Drop that in the chat as well. They can definitely help you out. Our amazing impact team, very knowledgeable and has been trained up in this new feature, and they're excited to hear from you, including Seth. It's part of our awesome impact team. And if you have other feature ideas that you want to share, I would love to hear about them as well. Hi, Seth. Great. Well, thank you all so much. I appreciate you taking the time to join and learn about this feature in this busy time as we're all trying to wrap up the year. I especially want to say thank you to our amazing team who has worked so hard for, I think, over 2 years now working on releasing this feature. So we're so happy that it's born out into the world now, and we're looking forward to continuing to work on it. Also want to say thank you to our amazing development panel partners, AFL-CIO and People's Action member organizations. They have been instrumental in giving us feedback about this feature and helping inform what's really going to make it useful for our organizers on the ground. So it's been a wonderful process. And we can't wait to continue to work on it and make it better in the new year. So thank you all so much for joining. And if you have any other feedback, you know where to find us. Otherwise, hope you all get a good restful break over the holidays and take care.